Hey there, let's try something out together. I want you to gently tap your shin like this and softly pull your cheeks in this fashion and gently move your ears like this. Now, as you carry out all these different movements, did you notice how some parts of your body felt hard and rigid while some parts of your body felt soft and squishy? Well, the rigid parts of our body is made of bone, while the squishy parts are made of cartilage. And in today's video, we're going to explore the structure and function of bones and cartilage. But before we get started, we need to quickly recall our basic concept on connective tissue. Now we know that the human body is made up of different kinds of tissues, and connective tissue is one such tissue. It is a tissue that is responsible for connecting and binding different parts of our body together. Now, within this category of tissue, we see that there are so many different types. There are some tissues that act as packaging materials, some that help with the transport of substances, and some which provide structural support. Now, bones and cartilage come under this particular category. So, first up, let us look at the structure and function of bones. Now, whenever we talk about bones, we imagine it to look something like this. And we know that bones are a major part of the skeletal system, especially in vertebrates. And in the human body, there are bones of different shapes and different sizes that make up the skeletal system. Now, since it's a connective tissue, we see that it will follow the basic structure of a connective tissue, where there will be a matrix and there will be cells present within the matrix. But now, in the case of bones, the matrix is pretty unique because when you look at the bone matrix, it has inorganic components as well as organic components. Now, the bone matrix includes depositions of calcium salts like calcium phosphate and calcium carbonate that actually make the bone strong and hard. And along with that, it also has certain organic components like collagen and proteins. Now, whenever we look and think about the structure of the bone, right, we always think about the exterior of the bone. Have you ever wondered what it looks like on the inside? Well, on the inside, it looks something like this, where it has so many different components. Now, there is a hollow portion that is there in the center, and surrounding this hollow portion are the bone cells in the matrix. Now, whenever we talk about bone cells, there are actually different types of bone cells. But broadly, we're going to talk about two. So, the first type of bone cell we're going to talk about is going to be the osteoblasts. Now, osteoblasts are considered to be bone forming cells and they are found in the growing regions of the bone. Now, they synthesize and secrete collagen matrix, and along with that, they secrete certain other proteins as well. Now, as they start to secrete this, right, and as these secretions start to calcify, so as the secreted matrix surrounding the osteoblast starts to calcify, which means that when it starts to have depositions of calcium salts, the osteoblasts also become trapped within it. Now, when they get trapped, they undergo a change in structure and they become osteocytes. Now, osteocytes are the primary cells in mature bones and they are responsible for maintaining the mineral concentration in the bone matrix. So, you often come across these two words, osteoblasts and osteocytes, as bone cells. But it's important to understand the difference between the two. Now, these cells are located around a central hollow portion of the bone called as the bone marrow. And we see that there are two types of bone marrow, where we have a red bone marrow and a yellow bone marrow. Now, the red bone marrow is responsible for producing blood cells, while the yellow bone marrow primarily stores fat. Now, although we have understood the basic components of the bone and its structure, it's important to also understand how they are arranged. Because let's say if we were to take a cross section of the bone, we see that all these components are arranged in a specific manner. We will observe a highly organized arrangement of concentric circles that actually look like tree trunks. And these structures are called as osteons. So, osteons are cylindrical structures which are made of concentric layers of bone tissue that surround a central canal. So, if we were to take this particular part and observe it from the top, you would notice that the osteocytes, which are our bone cells, are arranged in these concentric circles around a central canal called as the Haversian canal. Now, the Haversian canal is a long, hollow channel that runs through the center of the osteon. And it has several smaller blood vessels, it has nerves and lymphatic vessels that arise from this. So, with this, we've had a basic understanding about the structure of the bone. But why do we have bones in our body? What is the whole purpose? Well, firstly, they actually give us shape and support. And along with that, it acts as a protective framework for all of our vital organs like our brain, heart, and lungs. Now, they're also a storehouse of minerals such as for calcium and phosphorus, and they also help with the production of bone cells like red blood cells and white blood cells. But primarily, we see that bones help in movement by acting as levers for muscles. So, bones along with muscles enable us for movement that we carry out. So, with this, we understand the importance of bones in our body. But now, on that note, when we talk about bones helping with movement, they are two hard, rigid structures, right? I mean, if they're constantly moving and maybe rubbing against each other, don't you think it's going to undergo wear and tear? I mean, let's say I take these two stones and I keep rubbing it against each other. At some point, don't you think it's going to start getting damaged? But inside our body, even though bones are closely located and they work together, we see that they barely undergo wear and tear. And this is because another tissue acts as a protective covering here. And this tissue is nothing but the cartilage. Now, the cartilage is a pretty unique tissue which is found at the joints of bones, it is found at the tips of the ribs, it's part of the external ear, it's present in the tip of the nose, and even in the trachea. And as a matter of fact, in our early stages of life, the skeleton of the vertebrate embryos are actually made of cartilage, which then later get replaced by bones. So, what is this unique tissue? Well, when we look at the structure of the cartilage, it has two main elements. It, of course, has an extracellular matrix, and of course, there are some specialized cells. Now, when we look at the extracellular matrix, it is made of three important elements. It has carbohydrates, which roughly makes up 10% of the matrix, water, which makes up about 75%, and collagen fibers that makes up about 15%. Now, unlike bones which have a rich supply of blood vessels, cartilage does not have any supply of blood vessels. Therefore, it is avascular and it ends up getting nutrition by diffusion from the nearby capillaries that are there. Now, along with this, cartilage is also aneural, which means there aren't any nerves present as well in the matrix. Now, when we look at the cells of the cartilage, again, there are two types of cells. We have chondroblasts and chondrocytes. Now, chondroblasts are often found near the outer surface of the cartilage and they are responsible for secreting the extracellular matrix. And again, as they secrete the extracellular matrix, we see that the chondroblasts will mature and become chondrocytes. And these chondrocytes will divide and cluster together to form lacunae. Now, of course, overall, we see that the main function of the chondroblasts is to create new cartilaginous tissue, while the job of the chondrocytes is to maintain it. Now, the reason why we have cartilage is so that we see that especially they are present between the joints in order to provide a cushioning for them, and along with that, it helps in providing flexibility. And along with that, especially the cartilage present in the tip of the nose and in the external ear helps in maintaining the shape of these structures. The cartilage present in the respiratory tract actually support the trachea. Now, in some animals, the entire body is made of cartilage. So, when you look at the skeletal systems of aquatic animals like sharks, they do not have bones in their body, but instead, the cartilage acts as a skeletal system, which is why such fishes are called as cartilaginous fishes. So, broadly, when you look at bones and cartilage, we see that they both help in providing structural support. but bones are hard and rigid, while cartilage is flexible and relatively less rigid. Bones have osteocytes present in a hard matrix that have depositions of calcium salts, while chondrocytes up the cartilage where they are found in a gel like matrix. Now, bones are responsible for providing strength and movement, while cartilage mainly provides flexibility and cushioning. So, with this, I hope that the concepts related to bones and cartilage is now clear to you.